Hello, everybody. I am here with Coach Elle, and she has such a special message to share with you today. But let me first tell you a little bit about Elle. Elle is a renowned expert in the realms of calling in the one, conscious uncoupling, and laser coaching. With certifications in these powerful modalities, she specializes in helping individuals release limiting beliefs, process emotional blocks, and realign their energy to manifest soul enriching partnerships. So, whether you're seeking your life partner or looking to up level an existing relationship, Elle's approach cuts straight to the heart. Through her work, you'll learn to embody radical self acceptance, tune into your intuitive wisdom, and create lives and connections rooted in authenticity and unconditional love. Elle's mission is to empower you to fearlessly claim the love that you deserve, the love that will mirror the depth you've cultivated within yourself. So get ready to be inspired, activated, and called home to the radiance of your true essence. Elle, I am so excited to be here with you today and to talk with you a little bit.
Thank you so much. It's a very heartwarming introduction. I really appreciate that. I'm actually very excited to be here at this summit, a health summit for women, ladies of who we are. And yes, I believe that our limiting belief about who we are goes deeper in a sense that it also gives us that negative belief about our health and how we interact with ourselves, with our environment, and taking care of ourselves becomes that habit because of that limiting belief that has been embedded in us most of the time from those early ages of the when we were kids. So that's what I believe in, and I hope that I can clear some parts of that space for people that were listening today. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I love that. So let me start you out with a quick question because a lot of people, we want to understand what are some of the things that we all share. I think as women, we do share a lot of the same questions that we ask ourselves. We may not know that we do that, right? But we probably have a lot of similarities in the thing. So what are some common negative thoughts women have about themselves that can really hurt their physical and mental health?
Yes, some common thoughts are most of the time, I'm not good enough. I'm flawed. I don't deserve to be healthy. I can never do this. I can never change. I can never lose 10 pounds or 20 pounds. Or I mean, these are all the negative thoughts that from our limiting beliefs that comes up. And I invite people to be conscious about that. When that comes on, and I'm not good enough, because it's in our head in a way that comes up when we go through that, I guess, negative part of us. So I would invite you to be aware of this negative self-talk and counter it with a positive affirmation about that you're worthy, that you can do whatever your heart desires when you commit to yourself. That can be one affirmation, can be thousands of different ones of where you are.
So how do believing in negative things about yourself lead to these unhealthy habits or behaviors?
When you think that you're not going to change your health or lose the weight, so then it becomes that poor diet, lack of exercise, and neglecting self-care because you don't feel that you deserve it to be in that space of health, contentment in that space. So those negative beliefs impact your behavior and may make that conscious choice align with that negative part of you. So I'm inviting you to change that, be conscious about it. And as soon as that negative thought comes to your head, move it to a positive part of you, a positive affirmation. And as human beings, it's habits. So if you in that space of I'm not good enough and I can't lose 10, 20 pounds, I'm unhealthy, I cannot be in a good health, then if you change that to a positive affirmation, and make it your mission to change that habit of thinking, then after 2 months, 3 months, you can do it. Just have to commit to that space.
Right, because we'll make excuses for ourselves, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't do it, so why even try? Or I'm not good enough for this. There's no way. And we make, boy, we say some pretty horrible things to ourselves sometimes. It's
Yes.
amazing. Like we would never talk, we were sitting down with our best friend. We would never say these things to our best friend. And yet we will say these things to ourselves
Yeah.
all of the time.
Exactly. So be kind to yourself. Say things to yourself that you will say to your beautiful, kind friend in a positive way that you talk to them. Talk in that positive tone of voice, of kind voice to yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe you can do it. Yes, you can do it. Yeah, I will do this. I'm going to do this. Switch the words around, right? So not I can't, but I can. And maybe you're not doing it right now, but you can, and you're going to work towards getting to that goal. And it is possible. I think we take possibility out of our equation, right? Is this possible for me? And our brain says, no, it's not possible. It says it'll give us all these reasons. It'll throw all of this stuff in our brain saying, you can't do it because, and you can have a long list of things that I can't. This is why I can. It's harder to say this is why I can, but you
Yeah.
have to be kind to yourself and say those things.
Yeah. And then the other part of it, it's interesting. I had a conversation with a client the other day. Basically, she was saying instead of processing the emotion of that negative emotion that she had, she eats cookies and all the sugary stuff. And of course, she's an overweight lady and she needs to lose probably around 40 pounds. She's okay with that to stay in that space instead of processing her emotion, talking about it, even talking to me about it. It's part of it is gone, but then she's still not in that mindset that she can process it sometimes on her own, sometimes with a friend, sometimes with a coach, and get to that space of positive affirmation for herself that yes, I'm a healthy woman. I can be in that weight, ideal weight for myself, for my body, for my health. It doesn't mean you have to be, as skinny as all these models. No, it has to be in that space of being healthy for your own body, for who you are.
100%. So can you share some examples of how like changing negative mindsets has helped women improve their self-care and their overall wellness?
Sure. So, for example, one client overcome her belief that she was too old and reclaimed her health, and now is a fit, glowing 60-year-old woman. So it's that commitment that you give to yourself and the process. So stay open and have faith and in your ability that you can grow beyond your limiting belief. There was actually one example. Other example would be, I know we were in a podcast and you talked about your experience when you got to that space of understanding that was your limiting belief. And now as you were going through buying groceries, I mean, if you want to share that example of yourself, that would be nice for people to listen to.
Yeah, well, so my personal experiences when I was much younger and I had little kids, and this was back in the day with we didn't have cell phones a very long time ago and didn't have debit cards and things were a lot different. I would go grocery shopping with my kids, and I remember one time I didn't have enough money to pay for my groceries, and they would tell it like it goes over the loudspeaker, and they have some come up and take all the groceries back. It's kind of a big deal and very embarrassing. And so ever since that happened, it was like that was such a big point in my life. I'd always put my things last, right? As the mom, my needs were the least important. So I always put things last. And it wasn't until just about last year before, I needed to take care of myself because I kept putting myself last. My needs, what I wanted, what I needed, because I just didn't think I was worth it, right? And so it dawned on me also grocery shopping one day when I was, we do self checkout, right? Most people do these days because that's all that's open. And I went to grab for my first item, and it was a box of Cheerios. Now I am always doing heart healthy, very low sodium. And so that box of Cheerios was for me. And it was the first thing I grabbed out of my cart. And I put it up and I rang it through. And it dawned on me that I had put myself
First.
first, that I realized that my health and my well-being was important. And I think we don't see that quite often. And it really, like, I didn't say anything. I just kind of stood there for a second and I took it in and I said, yeah, I'm worth it. I'm worth it to eat healthy so I can take care of my family. I'm worth it to have self-care and take care of myself, right?
Yeah,
And I needed to start doing these habits. So
beautiful.
incredibly important for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's one example. The second example, I mean, I always talk to my clients and the people who don't take care of themselves and they put themselves second in any kind of interaction. It can be interaction with your children, it can be with your spouse, it can be in a business partnership. So I always give them this example of when you're traveling, when you get it onto the plane, the stewardess comes and talks about if any turbulence, any kind of emergency happens, that oxygen mask, put that on yourself first and then to the person who's sitting next to you to help them, even if the person next to you is a child. Same thing. If you're taking care of your children, if you're not in that space of healthy being, that taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love is not there, how can you manage to take care of people around you? How can you love people around you if you don't love yourself? It's the self-love, self-care, and limiting belief. They're all like interconnected to each other.
Mhm.
So when I work with my clients, the first step is looking at the self-love, looking at the self-care. And then the third part is the limiting belief, because this has been sitting there because you don't think that you deserve love. You don't think that you deserve that you love yourself. And so we go deep based on all these three things. And we figure out how they can manage to be open to take care of themselves. And yes, of course, one main thing for people is health. So how can you be healthy when you don't love yourself and you don't take care of yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to put yourself first. So what are some practical tips for catching these negative thoughts and then replacing them with like positive beliefs? What are some tips we can get?
Just understand those negative thoughts are just thought. Thought is not true. So reframe it to something neutral, positive, that's it's aligned for your self-compassion. Be patient and persistent in this practice because catching your thoughts is just a practice. So as soon as, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, or whatever negative thoughts comes up, understand this is just a thought and you can change that thought to a positive, compassionate way. That's who you are to yourself first.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Catch yourself. Have a list. I mean, I'm the queen of post-it notes these days. Put a little post-it note up there. So when so you can remind yourself, whether it's at work at your desk, can you do this for me? I'm way behind. And think, is this a good thing for me to do? Like, do I have the time? Am I going to put off things that are important to me right now? Am I going to put things off and do somebody else's work for them? Or am I going to really focus on getting my work done? And if I have time, then yes, I'm happy to help you. How do we switch that? How do we make that in our home life? Whether it's, the kids, I always feed everybody, then eat last. I was the last to go to sleep. I was, you know what I mean? Like I made sure, no, like shift that to, for me to be a great person tomorrow, I need to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to bed here and y'all better, go to bed accordingly so that I can make sure that I'm getting what my body needs to work at the
Yeah.
proper level, right?
Yeah, so
So
you're talking about boundaries. Let's have healthy, loving boundaries with people around us, even with our children, as they grow up to be self-sufficient and be able to, help you around the house or around whatever you have to do. Give them some chores, to give them those steps for them to do so you can get to that space of, okay, I can take a bubble bath before I feed you all or after I feed you all or anything that it makes you that space of self-care and being happy to be in that interaction and taking care of yourself. So tomorrow morning or the next day, when you're starting your day, you be healthy and in that space that, yes, I want to do this again.
you have to. How can being kind to yourself and using positive self-talk help overcome limiting beliefs and empower our health journey?
Being aware of those internalizing these external influences or what interactions that you have, those negative thoughts that you comes to your mind, just be conscious about it. And yes, you talked about putting the sticky notes. I have sticky notes all over the place, especially when you wake up in the morning. When you look into your in the mirror, that would be a suggestion to look into your eyes and tell yourself, "I love you. You're a beautiful woman. You're gonna have a great day. Everything's always is working out for you." And these are all the affirmations that I have learned throughout the years from different coaches that I had. So there are a lot of positive affirmations that you can have or think about that you would like to have for yourself and write it down. Looking in the mirror is one of the mirror work is one of the most effective ones that you can have.
So, do societal pressures or messages reinforce negative beliefs women have about their bodies and abilities? Like, I feel like that happens so much.
Yes, it happens all the time. The beauty standards, the gender expectations, the cultural narratives, it all makes those limiting beliefs that women struggle with regarding appearance, abilities, and roles. Being aware of how you're internalizing these negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, because of the outside world, then that's another step to understanding, again, these are just thoughts that comes to your mind, and you can change those thoughts by those positive beliefs that you have committed that you're gonna have to your in your life, so you can go to the another step forward.
Yes, block them out. Don't listen. Rewrite what you wanted to say, because we need to just say these things to ourselves. And I love what you said earlier about looking in the mirror and saying that, like, pretend that like you're your own best friend, and when you do talk in the mirror, that you can say these nice things to yourself. I think it's hard at first, but we can keep doing that. Imagine how much we'll soar.
Yeah, these are the mirror work at the beginning, especially when you have those negative emotions from the past, from those other old interactions. It can be hard. Clients that it took them 4 or 5 weeks to get to that space that they can actually just look into their eyes in the mirror, not even saying "I love you," but just looking, because that brought the shame, brought those negative thoughts from the past. So we had to clear that, go deep, and understand exactly why befriend those emotions and hold on and just like go to the next part of that positive space that we want it to be. It's a lot of work, but it does work.
It is a lot of work. I agree, but it's so well worth it. I can remember times when I wouldn't even look in the mirror. I would literally avoid the mirror so I wouldn't have to look at myself. And you know what I mean? Because my self-worth was so low. So I didn't even want to see myself. And now I see myself constantly. So it's unavoidable at this point. It's very, very tough. So how are these emotional and mental roadblocks tied to limiting self-beliefs? And because they derail our health goals and they derail our personal goals.
Yeah, so the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, actually fueled our insecurities, anxiety, self-doubt, shame, other emotional and mental patterns that easily sabotages our commitment to our health habits. The first thing that we can do, as we mentioned it before, is just to go to that positive self-belief and know that you can change and sustain those negative behaviors from the past. Sometimes with the help of a friend, sometimes you have that emotional stability that you can do it step by step on your own. And a lot of people work with coaches to see how they can go to that other space of positivity for who they are. Because let's face it, deep inside, we are loving human beings. So I tell people that I work people to open their heart and bring love back to their life. And then when I say that, a lot of people like their eyes opens up because they never heard of it that way. I do really work, and that's my commitment to myself, to work with my clients to open their heart and go deep and really find out who they are inside before all these incidents that has happened that brought them to that space of being negative about who they are. Because deep inside, we are that beautiful soul of love. So let's bring that out and let's work with that.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, if we get to ourselves, bringing that out, let that out a little bit more because we just don't want to do that. It's, we have to face so many things. Can you share some uplifting stories of women who did overcome that like negative self-beliefs, and how they were able to like reclaim their vitality and well-being?
I can tell you like few stories. A couple of them are people who actually wanted to be good and take their business to another level, but they did not feel comfortable to be on a video, to go to podcast. I mean, right now that's kind of norm. So I worked with them, and through the mirror work, it happened, and the commitment to themselves. Because it doesn't matter if I've worked with someone 20 times or 10 times or 5 times, but if they're not committed to be in that positive space that they want to be, and I'll be happy to hold the space for them to take them to that space. If that commitment is not there from them, it's going to take longer, and it's not going to be that easy. But when I worked with these couple, a lot of people who come to me, I ask them, are you committed? What is the intention of us working together? I worked with one lady. Today was Monday. In one session on Thursday, she was on video. She went on a podcast. Okay, the first time maybe it was a little bit nervous on that one. We all are. But then she emailed me after like 3 times. She was really going through that. The other example is me. If you talked to me a couple of years, 3 years ago, I would never be on camera. But now, excited. I know that this is my way to help other people, and that's my journey. And I'm doing it almost every day, a couple of times a day sometimes. So that's stories. I mean, there are other stories that they wanted to. I had clients who didn't want to face their families, especially on holidays, and how because they had a negative belief about themselves. So we worked on that, and how they overcome that part of not being good enough to be in that family. So we kind of clear that, and they have a beautiful interaction with their families now. So
That's amazing.
there's many of them, but these are the.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean but that's amazing, and we want to hear those stories, and those are the things, we want everyone else to have their own story and get through those things and have those conversations with themselves and release a lot of that we've carried for so long. And I know you have things that can help people get started with that. I know we're probably running short on time, but I wanted to give you a chance you have some things to share. Let's get those out there before we wrap this up.
I'm complimentary self-discovery journal that I would share with the summit people who organize the summit, so that they can have it complimentary, so you can answer those questions and any other questions that they have, be happy to answer. So thank you so much.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brie, and thank you the summit people who puts all these interactions together. Thank you so much for listening, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. We would love to hear more from you. Make sure you check out all of what Elle has to share with you and connect with her. That would be amazing. Thanks for your time today, and make life better by letting go of those limiting beliefs. We'll see you next time.